Afternoon, gents. Brett, Mark. I'd love to talk about the big Sunmet race day coming up this Saturday. There's a fantastic race meeting that we had over the Queen's Plate, and this is sort of the last feature of the Cape Summer season feature day. And we're going to start really with the CTS 1200. So that starts in race 4. Brett, you have one runner, this filly Shamrock Wind. What has her work been like? Can you just talk us through her?
Troy, she's had a very good prep leading into Saturday. Her form has been very good. She obviously, unfortunately, never got to run in the Fillies Guineas, but her gallop subsequently has been excellent. She's, if you look at on merit rating, she's in the top 4 in the race, and I give her a very good place chance. I think Sorella is the horse to beat, but I definitely think that there's a bit of value in this place running in the first 4.
Perfect. And Mark, sort of, you've studied the card hard, and you're very astute in figuring out Interbet ways to play for the punters. Can you give us a heads up on the competition here?
Sure. Look, I agree with what Brett has said. Shamrock Wind is definitely a contender at a big price. What's impressed me about her, she can quicken up. She sprinted well at Durbanville, and she's obviously improving nicely. Her speed figures are getting better. So she's definitely one that you must use in trifectas and quartets. Okay. I think Sorella will be very tough to beat on exposed form. And other horses that are in the mix would include Palace Chapel, a raider from Joburg, Elusive Trader, yes, who's a swift sprinter, Master Gambit, very highly rated by the Dryer stable, together with Priceless Ruler. And then in addition to Brett's filly, Temple Graffin, the Kotson entry, she must have a big chance, based on her runs to Cloud Unfold and Nous Voilà.
Perfect. We'll move on swiftly to the mile. I know, Brett, there's no runners currently in that race. What's your thoughts on that race there, Mark?
It does appear to be at the mercy of One World. He lost his unbeaten record last time. Vaughan Marshall said he was a little bit flat on the day, so he doesn't think it was his best ever effort, which is confirmed on the speed figures. But the manner in which he spat out Frank Lloyd Wright and beat Casimir and Chimichurri Run, under the weight conditions, he's going to be very, very difficult to beat. If for whatever reason he duffs it, perhaps Silvano's Pride, Chimichurri Run, who I've just mentioned, Twist of Fate, and Vikram, who is a really smart, give me the green light gelding. They are ones that may be able to pick up the pieces, and then Majestic Mozart and Vardy are worth using underneath in trifectas.
Move on to race 6, the Betting World Cape Flying Championship. It's a Group 1, and Brett, you have 3 runners here, all with improving form, and going to go straight to Bold Respect. He's a Group 1 winner himself. Can you talk to us about his prep going into the race?
Troy's had a very good prep leading into this. He's needed his first 2 outings in Cape Town. Obviously, the 1,000 meter is a little bit on the short side for him, but he has come on leaps and bounds. He's now getting, I think it's 1.5 kilos from Pacific Trader, which will definitely put him closer. And he's the class horse in the race, and I'm expecting a very big run from him. So he's in great form. Pacific Trader, he's at he's distance suited, course suited. His stats over this distance and course speak for themselves. He's in absolutely fine form, and it wouldn't surprise me if he were to win a race of this nature. He's absolutely flying at home. Search Party, a very much better run last time with the earmuffs on for the first time. So I'm expecting him to possibly get into the back end of the quartet. But I really do think Pacific Trader and Bold Respect will have a big say in this race.
And just to chat about the odds there quickly. We have Search Party, he's quite wide at 20 to 1. Bold Respect 11 to 2, and Pacific Trader on his last run is the shortest of the 3 runners at 7 to 2. Mark, have you gone through the competition and seen anything that could upset?
Yeah, look, Casimir is probably the most likely danger, but I'm very much a Pacific Trader fan. Early on in his career, he ran some very impressive speed figures, and then, with the expert handling, that Brett has given this gelding, he's just gotten stronger and stronger, and he got a monster speed figure when winning last time. and the manner in which he won, Troy, you know, racing handy, quickening from that position, I think he's going to be very, very tough to beat. But I would rate Casimir, who chased him home last time, as the main danger. There are a bunch of others, you know, Rebels Champ and Princess Rebel are two Rebel King raiders, you know, who may be able to get into the mix. Pleased to meet you as a talented youngster. Sand and Sea has had a troubled career, you know, beset by all sorts of physical problems, but he's talented on his day. Trip to Heaven, likewise, you know, tends to walk out the stalls and come with a late dart. He could be a threat. Dutch Philip is interesting because at this race meeting last year, he actually beat Casimir in Magical Wonderland, admittedly over 1200. I know they're going to try and ride him for luck just from off the pace, you know, with the blinkers on. He could be a bit of a threat. Sergeant Hardy on very best form. But as a short selection, I would hone in on Pacific Trade against Casimir with Bold Respect as a backup.
As a backup. Perfect. Let's move on swiftly to the Derby. So it's over the 2,000 meters, and we're starting to see the next crop of 3-year-olds coming through. Brett's got 3 runners here with Charles, Hoodoo Magic, and Sinatla. Charles having won recently, Hoodoo Magic and Sinatla having run in the Politician. Brett, could you just talk to us about their chances and their prep into the race?
All 3 also are doing exceptionally well, Troy. Charles, a very good win last time with a big weight. He had the blinkers on just to make him focus a bit, but we're going to make a decision as to whether he runs with blinkers over the 10 furlong. More than likely that the blinkers will come off, but I think people must just keep an eye on that. Obviously a wide draw to overcome, but he's really a horse that I've always had utmost respect for. I think he's going to be a very nice horse in the making, and he's a horse that must be included in all your perms on the day. As far as Hoodoo Magic goes, a little bit of a disappointing run last time. In saying that, he only got beat 4 lengths and he gave the whole field weight. I do feel he's a lot better now. I feel it was just a flat run for him. His work at home's been great. He looks amazing. He has a decent draw, which is half the battle, and he's one of the higher rated colts in the race. So definitely a horse not to be overlooked on the day. And Sinatla, obviously the improver in the race, ran a very good race in the Politician Stakes behind Twist of Fate. I thought it was a good effort first time over the trip. He's definitely going to relish the extra furlong. His last start was without earmuffs. I have put earmuffs on him at home, and I feel it's helped quieten him down. He's a little bit of a hot horse. So I really think all these 3 horses will run well. And definitely horses for your PA, and obviously I think it's a very open derby, to be honest. The fillies on paper are rated to beat the colts, so I think it's a race that you'd have to go wide, but as far as the stable goes, I do think all 3 horses will put their hands up and run competitive races.
Mark, Brett's talked about his 3 in the Derby. You obviously have looked at the colts very, very well over the last few months. Is there any that you pick out in here that is the main competition to them?
Yeah, as I see it, Troy, it's 3 and 19 against 9, 1 and 2. So Bunker Hunt has always appealed as a possible Derby contender. So he rates right up there. And Brett made reference to the ability of the fillies. Santa Clara has produced some really nice come-home sectionals. The shorter Duke of Marmalade filly, she could really appreciate this longer route. So she's a threat despite the wide draw. And then the others that I would hone in on would be Belgarian, who has huge upside potential. Thanksgiving, coming in from Joburg and KZN, got good form there. And Charles, I think will go really close because I like the heart that he showed last time to fight off the challenges.
Charles is the shortest of them all at 9 to 1 for Brett's runners. And as far as places go, there seems like quite a lot of value in 24 to 10 on Hoodoo Magic and Sinatla. So worth playing.
It is an open race. I think you need to cast a wide net in exotics.
Perfect. Let's move on to the other Group 1 on the day. This is the Majorca Stakes, the Bidbest Majorca. It's over the mile. Brett, you got front and center, and she's been supreme in all of her starts, frankly. She's unbeaten, the only unbeaten horse in the race. Can you tell us more about her and what your thoughts are on running her here?
Troy, this filly's done obviously very little wrong. She has her toughest date on Saturday, meeting the older fillies, but in saying that, she's got a lot in her favour. She gets 5 kilos from the older fillies. She jumps from a very good draw, and obviously she's in great form. I think she's a very special filly. Her work at home's been awesome, and I'm expecting a very competitive run once again. I obviously have utmost respect for Lady in Black. I think to me she would be the immediate danger. Snow Dance, obviously a very good filly that's in good form. Whether she goes the mile is a question mark. So for me, I think Lady in Black obviously is the filly that we have to beat. But in saying that, this filly's in great form, and I think she's going to put up a massive effort.
Perfect. Mark, we have Fiorella, Brave Move, and a few others here. Can you help us single out sort of your picks?
Yeah, Troy, look, I think this is one of the legs where punters can go quite short. They can hone in on the obvious class fillies. I think it's between Snow Dance and Front and Center. Very tough to pick between those two. Lady in Black is an obvious threat. And then the only other one that I would factor in, perhaps Clouds Unfold. She's brilliant over the sprints. She didn't convince me that she lost at home when Front and Center beat her easily in the fillies guineas. So I think, you know, for pick 6 players, if they used 12, 2 and 1, I'd reckon they're probably 90% sure to get through. Often famous last words, but I think those are the 3 main contenders.
You're right, it is a long card, so maybe trying to find a banker or 1 or 2 might be the option to go to. The Sun Met is obviously the feature on the day. It's race 9, it's 5:10. It's sponsored by Sun Met and MUMM. Brett, you have Undercover Agent who, as we saw in the draw, drew 12. He's running from wide draw next to Tapper North, and has a lot of talented horses in this field to beat. Can you talk to us about him?
Troy, obviously it's the first time he tries the 2,000 meters. He has run second over 1,800 against older horses last year as a 3-year-old. He's doing exceptionally well at home. I thought his Queen's Plate run was disappointing in my opinion, but he's bounced back well. Obviously we are going to definitely ride him to see the trip out, so I think there's enough speed in the race for us to get some cover early on, and then we'll just wait and let him finish his race off. And you know, I know he's got the ability to rub shoulders with these horses if he gets the trip, so he's definitely a horse that in my opinion has a place chance. Obviously Do It Again looks the horse we all have to beat, and I think he will be a hard horse to beat. But you know, there's a lot of top horses in this race, and if Undercover Agent and Legal Eagle bring their best games forward, I think they can definitely get into the money.
Perfect. Undercover Agent's at 16-1 for those taking multiples or backing him on the nose. He's 28-10 currently on Interbet at a place. Mark, Brett touched on Do It Again. I also think Legal Eagle sort of has another big run in him. And there's a lot of other horses that are sort of stepping up. Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, look, I don't want to overcomplicate things, Troy, into wise guy, you know, my way out of what looks like a fairly straightforward met. I think Do It Again is going to be very difficult to beat on exposed form and the speed figures and just the way in which he's conducted himself at this class level. So I'm very much in the Do It Again support corner. I think that the dangers would be Legal Eagle, number 9 Rainbow Bridge, and last year's winner Oh Susanna. Those are the immediate dangers, but then there are a bunch which can get into the money, you know, for guys putting together trifecta and quartet players. Head Honcho, Undercover Agent for sure, Tapper North and Eyes Wide Open on back form, and Double Mint is a very game performer, so he may be able to clank up into the money. And then one that I'm not really sure what to make of, Made to Conquer. I've always thought of him as more of a stayer, but he could also, get in for a share.
And put his hand up.
Yeah.
Brett's sort of talking about tucking in or just letting the race, the natural pace in the race go up. And do you see any horses immediately as the pacemakers in here? Maybe Milton?
Yeah, I think Milton for sure, but that's the only way in which he knows how to run. He'll probably fold like in mid-stretch. It all depends though, who chases him. I think, it's what the rest of the pack do that will have a determining factor on the overall pace. The Met has, unfortunately in the past, often been a false run race. So that is a concern. But the way in which things set up here, you'd think that it will at least be a fair gallop.
Race 10, New Turf Carriers, Stayers race with Group 2. Brett has Gimme One Night, who is coming off 2 group wins, in fact, and he's 9-2 at Interbet currently. There is a weight turnaround. Brett, could you talk to us about that?
I think, Troy, it's going to be very difficult for Gimme One Night on Saturday. It's now a conditions race, not a handicap. So he only gets a small amount of weight from Stratton. I think he's 7.5 kilos worse off for beating Stratton. So over the 2.8, that should put Stratton ahead of us on paper. As well as Walter Smoothie also ran a good race, his first run here in Cape Town. He's also, I think, 3.5 or 4 kilos better off this time around, which should also put him in front of us. So I think Gimme One Night's got it all to do. It's not going to be easy at the weights, but in saying that, he's got accustomed to winning ways. Lyle Hewitson rides him superbly, and you know what, he's in a great space at the moment. So horses don't run on paper, but according to the handicap, he's got his work cut out, but he's in great form. And if you are going to look beyond Stratton, then you definitely need to put Gimme One Night in.
I'm going to throw in Pacific Chestnut here and let you lead off with that, Mark. Do you see other horses in contention? Maybe Let It Rain?
Yeah, look, there are a couple that may come to light. Elusive Silver, Let It Rain, Ollivander, Walter Smoothie, Magnificent Seven. Pacific Chestnut closed nicely last time when Gimme One Night outfinished him. Dynasty's Blossom, the Ballad of the Sea. They all are contenders in quite a tough race, but I think for short selections, it's between Stratton and Gimme One Night. Stratton, if you're doing classic weight handicapping, has the significant edge. Gimme One Night, I think what's significant about this one is that it's a stayer who can quicken. You've always got a chance, with a little gutsy horse that can finish the race off swiftly. So who knows, he may be able to defy what looked to be a very tough assignment.
Perfect. Brett, I'm just going to come back to you and see if you can single out a possible banker or value on the day. We've sort of gone through all the runners in the competition from the way we see it. So if you could help the punters along.
Troy, I think obviously it's exceptionally hard for us on Saturday. Majority of our 12 runners are running in Group 1 events, so it's very hard to go into those type of races with massive confidence. In the second race, we've got Duke's Domain and GGs Dynasty. GGs Dynasty won a really good race last time out. I feel he's come into the race off a very nice mark of, I think it's 74 or 76. So for me, from a good draw, his work at home is very good. He could probably be a nice value to start your day off. He's not in group company, and like I say, I think he's a little bit low in the ratings. I think he's got a bit more potential than that. So for me, GG's Dynasty, we're hoping to get the punters off on a good note, and then thereafter, like I said, all our runners are fit and well, but Front and Center and Pacific Trader, probably the two that are my stable elects, but not by much.
Perfect. And Mark, we didn't talk about race 11 and race 12. Could you sort of guide us through that for the punters on here? There's no runners from the Crawford stable, so if you could take the lead on that and what you think is a good bet.
Sure, because they form part of the second jackpot. I think race 11 is between Nexus and Cat Daddy. That's the 3 and the 4. Those are the ones that I would hone in on. And then the 12th race is extremely contentious. It's probably one of the toughest races on the card, a full field of sprinters. The ones that I would promote would be 2 What a Winner, 8 Russet Air, and 12 Top of the Class. But it's a very hard one.
Perfect. Thank you, gents. And if you're looking to bet, don't forget to visit Interbet. They have the best race time odds and offer the unique exchange betting option, and definitely bet all your tote bets through them, as that actually feeds back into stakes. Thank you for listening, and all the best in the day.